At 3:17 a.m. last Tuesday, 73-year-old Betty from Kansas called me sobbing because the muscle cramps in her legs were so violent. She thought she was having a stroke. And here's the part that's going to make your blood boil. Her doctor told her it was normal for her age and to just take more Tylenol. But within 48 hours of what I'm about to show you, Betty was sleeping through the night pain-free for the first time in 3 years. The kicker: the solution was sitting in her kitchen cabinet the entire time. But Big Pharma and the medical establishment have been keeping this information buried because there's no money in selling you vitamins that actually work. If you're over 60 and you've been told that muscle pain, weakness, and those horrific nighttime cramps are just part of getting older, I need you to get angry, furious, actually, because you've been lied to by an entire industry that profits from your suffering. I'm Dr. Michael Harris, and I'm about to commit career suicide by revealing the 5 specific vitamins that pharmaceutical companies pray you never discover. Because once you know this information, you'll never need their expensive muscle relaxers, their dangerous pain medications, or their worthless physical therapy sessions ever again. Here's what's going to shock you most. That 89-year-old woman you see jogging in your neighborhood every morning? She's not genetically gifted, she's not lucky, and she wasn't born with good bones. She simply knows something that 99% of seniors don't, a secret that allows her muscles to function like she's 40 years younger. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you this exact same secret on a silver platter. But I'm warning you right now. Once you learn this, you can never go back to accepting weakness and pain as your reality. The medical establishment has convinced millions of seniors that muscle deterioration is inevitable, that chronic pain is normal, and that losing your independence is just part of the aging process. But what if I told you that statement is not just wrong, it's criminally negligent? What if every single muscle cramp, every moment of weakness, every time you've struggled to open a jar or climb stairs, your body was screaming for help in a language that doctors have forgotten how to understand? These 5 vitamins don't just treat your symptoms. They reverse the cellular damage that's been robbing you of your strength for decades. But here's the catch that's going to make you question everything. The forms of these vitamins sitting on store shelves right now are deliberately designed to fail. That's right, the supplement industry is selling you expensive placebos while your muscles continue to waste away. The real forms that actually work, the specific combinations that create miraculous transformations, the precise dosages that can turn a shuffling senior into someone who moves with the confidence of their youth, that information has been systematically hidden from you. Until now. After treating thousands of patients over my 25-plus years in medicine, I watched countless folks chase after potassium supplements like it's some magic bullet for their muscle cramps and weakness. But here's what's going to shock you, and I mean really surprise you. Potassium isn't the hero of this story. In fact, while everyone's focused on bananas and potassium pills, they're completely missing the real culprit behind those midnight leg cramps that wake you up screaming. The truth is, there's a vitamin so crucial to muscle function that without it, your muscles literally can't talk to your brain properly. And if you're over 60, chances are you're running dangerously low on this essential nutrient without even knowing it. Let me paint you a picture of what's really happening inside your body when B12 levels drop. Think of your nervous system like the telephone lines that used to connect every home in your neighborhood back in the day. When those lines got damaged or corroded, calls would drop, voices would fade, and eventually, communication would break down completely. That's exactly what happens with B12 deficiency. Your nerves lose their protective coating, and suddenly your brain's messages to your muscles start getting scrambled or lost entirely. I've seen patients come to my office complaining about restless legs or numbness in their feet, and when we check their B12 levels, they're practically non-existent. This isn't just about aging healthily. It's about maintaining the very foundation of how your body communicates with itself. Now, here's where it gets really concerning, especially for maintaining health in old age. Your stomach produces less acid as you age, which means you can't absorb B12 from food like you used to when you were younger. I remember treating Eleanor, a vibrant 68-year-old grandmother from Ohio, who came to me exhausted and barely able to climb her stairs. She was eating all the right foods, plenty of fish, eggs, and dairy, but her body simply couldn't extract the B12 anymore. Her muscle weakness wasn't from lack of exercise or age. It was from B12 starvation at the cellular level. The scary part? Her regular doctor had been telling her for months that her symptoms were just part of getting older. That's the kind of medical dismissiveness that keeps people suffering unnecessarily when the solution could be right at their fingertips. The connection between B12 and youthfulness in the elderly goes far deeper than most people realize. When your muscles can't receive proper signals from your brain, you start moving differently, more cautiously, less confidently. Your gait changes, your balance suffers, and before you know it, you're shuffling instead of striding. But here's what's fascinating. I've watched patients regain their spring in their step within weeks of proper B12 supplementation. Martha, another patient of mine from Texas, went from using a walker to dancing at her granddaughter's wedding, all because we addressed her B12 deficiency. The immune system in old age also depends heavily on adequate B12 levels, since this vitamin plays a crucial role in producing healthy red blood cells that carry oxygen to every muscle fiber in your body. What most people don't understand about how to be a healthy elderly person is that B12 deficiency creates a domino effect throughout your entire system. When your muscles aren't getting proper nerve signals, they start to atrophy faster than they should. When they're not getting enough oxygen due to poor red blood cell production, they fatigue quicker and recover slower. And when you're constantly battling mysterious aches, pains, and weakness, your quality of life plummets, affecting everything from your mood to your independence. The methylcobalamin form of B12, not the cheap cyanocobalamin you'll find in most drugstore vitamins, can literally transform your muscle function within days. But B12 is just the beginning of this story, because there's another mineral that works hand in hand with it to keep your muscles relaxed and pain-free. Here's the error most people make. And I mean almost everyone, including doctors who should know better. They hear muscle cramps and immediately think potassium deficiency, completely ignoring the mineral that actually controls muscle relaxation. After over 25 years in medicine, I can tell you with absolute certainty that magnesium is nature's muscle relaxant, yet it's the most overlooked solution for aging healthily. While everyone's busy popping potassium pills and eating bananas, their muscles are literally screaming for magnesium. Think of your muscles like a light switch. Calcium turns them on by making them contract, but without enough magnesium to turn them off, they stay locked in a painful, cramped position. This is why so many people over 60 wake up with Charlie horses that feel like someone's twisting their calf muscles with a wrench. Let me break this down in the simplest terms possible, because understanding this could change your life overnight. Every single muscle contraction in your body requires a delicate dance between calcium and magnesium. Calcium rushes in and tells your muscle to squeeze tight, but magnesium is what tells it to let go and relax. When you're magnesium deficient, which studies show affects nearly 80% of Americans over 65, it's like having a gas pedal with no brakes. Your muscles contract but can't fully release, leading to that constant tension, stiffness, and pain that so many people accept as just part of getting older. I've seen this pattern thousands of times. Patients come in complaining about tight shoulders, restless legs, or muscle spasms, and when we correct their magnesium levels, it's like watching someone finally exhale after holding their breath for years. Now, here's where most people go wrong when they try to address this issue. They run to the pharmacy and grab the cheapest magnesium supplement they can find, usually magnesium oxide, which is about as useful as throwing money down the drain. Your body can barely absorb 4% of magnesium oxide, which is why so many folks try magnesium and claim it doesn't work. The forms that actually make a difference for maintaining health in old age are magnesium bisglycinate or magnesium citrate. Bisglycinate is bound to amino acids, so it slips past your digestive system like a VIP with a backstage pass, getting absorbed directly into your bloodstream where your muscles desperately need it. I tell my patients to start with 200 to 400 milligrams of bisglycinate before bed. Not only will it help their muscles relax, but they'll sleep like babies for the first time in years. The connection between magnesium and how to maintain autonomy as an elderly person is something that gets my blood boiling because it's so preventable. When your muscles are constantly tight and painful, you stop moving as much. When you stop moving, you lose strength and flexibility. When you lose strength and flexibility, you lose independence. It's a vicious cycle that starts with something as simple as mineral deficiency. I treated a 72-year-old farmer named Bill from Iowa who couldn't even grip his coffee cup in the mornings due to muscle stiffness. 3 weeks after starting magnesium bisglycinate, he was back to working on his farm and even started playing guitar again, something he'd given up years earlier because his fingers were too stiff and painful. That's the power of giving your muscles what they need to function properly. But here's what really gets me excited about magnesium and youthfulness in the elderly. It doesn't just relax your muscles. It actually helps them recover faster from exercise and daily activities. When you have adequate magnesium levels, your muscles can flush out lactic acid more efficiently, reducing that burning sensation and next-day soreness that keeps so many older adults sedentary. You can find excellent food sources of magnesium in dark leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard, nuts like almonds and cashews, and even dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao. But let's be honest, between soil depletion and digestive changes that come with age, supplementation is usually necessary for optimal levels. And while magnesium works wonders for muscle relaxation, there's another vitamin that most people associate with bones but plays an absolutely crucial role in muscle strength and preventing those dangerous falls. Here's something that's going to completely flip everything you think you know about vitamin D on its head. Everyone talks about vitamin D for bone health. Heck, that's what they taught me in medical school 25 years ago. But here's the shocking truth that most doctors are just now catching up to. Your muscles are absolutely starving for vitamin D, and this deficiency is behind more falls, fractures, and muscle weakness in seniors than any other single factor. The research is crystal clear, yet somehow this information isn't reaching the people who need it most. More than 50% of Americans over 65 are walking around with critically low vitamin D levels, and they have no idea that their mysterious muscle weakness, balance problems, and constant fatigue could be completely resolved with this one simple correction. It's not about your bones. It's about giving your muscles the power they need to keep you strong, stable, and independent. Let me share something that happened in my practice that perfectly illustrates this hidden connection. I had a patient named Dorothy, a 69-year-old retired teacher from Michigan, who came to me after her third fall in 6 months. Her family was talking about assisted living. She was scared to walk to her mailbox, and her confidence was completely shattered. Every doctor she'd seen blamed her age, prescribed physical therapy, or suggested a walker. But when I tested her vitamin D level, it was 18 nanograms per milliliter, severely deficient. Here's what most people don't understand about how to be a healthy elderly person. Your muscle fibers have vitamin D receptors just like your bones do. When these receptors are empty, your muscles literally can't generate the power they need for quick reflexes, balance corrections, or even basic strength. Within 2 months of proper vitamin D3 supplementation, Dorothy was gardening again and walking her dog around the neighborhood. The science behind this is absolutely fascinating and something that should be taught in every medical school. Vitamin D doesn't just help your muscles, it transforms them at the cellular level. When you have adequate D3 levels, your muscle fibers can contract more forcefully and react more quickly to unexpected situations, like when you trip or need to catch yourself. Studies show that seniors with optimal vitamin D levels have a 60% lower risk of falls compared to those who are deficient. But here's the cruel irony. As we age, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight, and our kidneys become less effective at converting it to the active form our muscles need. So even if you're spending time outdoors, which I always encourage for maintaining health in old age, you're likely still not getting enough to keep your muscles functioning at their peak performance. Now here's where the connection to immunity in the elderly becomes crucial, and it's something that gets overlooked in most discussions about aging healthily. Vitamin D is like a master key that unlocks proper immune function throughout your body, including in your muscle tissue. When you're deficient, your muscles not only become weak, but they also become inflamed and slow to recover from even minor strains or activities. I've seen patients who couldn't understand why they felt sore for days after simple tasks like grocery shopping or light housework. Their vitamin D levels were so low that their muscles were in a constant state of low-grade inflammation, making every movement painful and exhausting. The immune system in old age relies heavily on adequate vitamin D to keep inflammation in check and to help damaged muscle fibers repair themselves efficiently. The solution is simpler than most people think, but it requires understanding that not all vitamin D is created equal. You want vitamin D3 cholecalciferol, not D2, and you need enough to actually move the needle, usually 2,000 to 4,000 IU daily for most adults over 60, though I always recommend getting your blood levels tested first. The goal is to get your 25-hydroxy vitamin D level between 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter for optimal muscle function and youthfulness in the elderly. I tell my patients to take their D3 with a meal that contains some healthy fats like avocado, nuts, or olive oil because vitamin D is fat-soluble and needs those fats for proper absorption. But while vitamin D is rebuilding your muscle strength from the inside out, there's another vitamin that most people have completely forgotten about, one that's been quietly protecting your muscles from the invisible damage that leads to chronic pain and stiffness. Here's something that absolutely infuriates me about modern medicine, and I'm talking about my own profession here. Everyone talks about vitamin C, vitamin D, and B vitamins, but when was the last time you heard a doctor mention vitamin E for muscle health? It's like we've collectively forgotten about one of the most powerful protectors your muscles have against the daily damage that leads to chronic pain, stiffness, and that awful feeling of being stuck in an old body. This is the vitamin that's been quietly keeping your muscle cell membranes healthy and flexible for decades, And now that you need it most, when free radical damage is accelerating and inflammation is becoming your biggest enemy, it's been pushed aside and ignored. The injustice of this oversight is staggering, because I've watched patients transform their muscle comfort and mobility simply by addressing this one forgotten nutrient that's been sitting right under our noses all along. Let me tell you about the invisible war happening inside your muscles every single day, especially as you focus on aging healthily. Every time you move, breathe, or even just exist, your muscle cells produce waste products called free radicals. Think of them like the exhaust from a car engine. When you were younger, your body had plenty of natural antioxidants to neutralize this exhaust before it could cause damage. But after decades of use, and with your body's natural antioxidant production declining with age, these free radicals start attacking your muscle cell membranes, making them rigid, inflamed, and painful. I had a patient named Robert, a 71-year-old retired mechanic from Ohio, who described his morning stiffness as feeling like someone poured concrete in my joints overnight. His vitamin E levels were practically undetectable, and his muscle membranes were under constant assault from oxidative stress that had been building up for years. Now here's where it gets really interesting, and why maintaining health in old age requires thinking beyond the obvious solutions. Vitamin E doesn't just protect your muscles from damage, it actively improves circulation to muscle tissue, helping deliver the oxygen and nutrients your muscles desperately need to function properly. When your muscle cells are protected by adequate vitamin E, they stay flexible and responsive, like a well-oiled machine. But when they're deficient, it's like trying to run that machine with rusty, corroded parts. The difference in how people feel and move is absolutely dramatic. I've seen patients go from hobbling around like they're walking on broken glass to feeling like they've got their old legs back, all because we restored their cellular protection with proper vitamin E supplementation. The key is getting the right form, mixed tocopherols, not just alpha-tocopherol, because your muscles need the full spectrum of vitamin E compounds to stay healthy. The connection between vitamin E and youthfulness in the elderly goes far deeper than most people realize, and it's directly tied to how to maintain autonomy as an elderly person. When your muscles are constantly inflamed and stiff, you unconsciously start moving less, avoiding activities that used to bring you joy. You stop gardening because bending hurts. You quit dancing because your legs feel heavy and unresponsive. You avoid playing with grandchildren because you're afraid you won't be able to keep up. But here's what's tragic about this. Much of that limitation isn't from normal aging. It's from preventable oxidative damage that vitamin E could have stopped. I remember treating Helen, a 74-year-old grandmother from Texas, who hadn't been able to lift her arms above her head for 2 years due to shoulder pain and stiffness. 6 weeks after starting a high-quality vitamin E supplement, she was hanging Christmas lights and hugging her grandchildren without wincing. What most people don't understand about the immune system in old age is that chronic inflammation in your muscles doesn't just cause local pain. It creates a cascade of problems throughout your entire body. When your muscle tissue is constantly inflamed, it sends stress signals that keep your whole system on high alert, draining energy that should be going toward healing and maintaining your strength. Vitamin E acts like a fire extinguisher for this inflammation, allowing your muscles to relax, recover, and rebuild properly. You can find vitamin E in foods like almonds, sunflower seeds, and spinach, but therapeutic levels usually require supplementation. I typically recommend 400 to 800 IU of mixed tocopherols daily. The beautiful thing about vitamin E is how quickly people notice the difference. Less morning stiffness, improved flexibility, and that wonderful feeling of moving freely again. But even with all these powerful vitamins working to restore your muscle function, there are still 2 crucial pieces of the puzzle that most people never even consider. If you've tried magnesium, if you've experimented with potassium, if you've even addressed your B12 and vitamin D levels, but you're still waking up with muscle cramps and struggling with weakness that seems to get worse every month, then you're missing the 2 pieces that complete this puzzle. And I guarantee you, most doctors won't even think to check these levels. Here's the shocking truth that's going to change everything. Your body is literally stealing calcium from your bones to keep your muscles functioning, and without adequate vitamin C, the collagen structure that holds your muscles together is crumbling like an old building. This isn't just about aging healthily. This is about understanding why some 70-year-olds move like they're 50, while others feel trapped in bodies that won't cooperate. The difference isn't genetics or luck. It's knowing how these 2 forgotten nutrients work together to maintain the very foundation of muscle strength and flexibility. Let me explain what's really happening inside your body when these levels drop, because this is where most people, including doctors, get it completely wrong. Calcium isn't just about bones. It's the trigger that makes every single muscle in your body contract. When you don't have enough readily available calcium in your bloodstream, your body panics and starts pulling it from your bones to keep your heart beating and your muscles working. Meanwhile, vitamin C is busy building and maintaining the collagen matrix that gives your muscles their structure and strength. Think of it like the steel framework inside a skyscraper. I had a patient named Margaret, a 68-year-old retired nurse from Wisconsin, who was taking calcium supplements religiously but still experiencing terrible muscle cramps. The problem wasn't the amount of calcium she was taking. It was that she was taking calcium carbonate, which her aging digestive system could barely absorb, and she had no vitamin C to help maintain the muscle structure that calcium was supposed to support. Here's where the science gets really fascinating, and why maintaining health in old age requires understanding this critical partnership. Vitamin C doesn't just build collagen. It literally weaves the protein fibers together that give your muscles their elasticity and resilience. Without adequate vitamin C, your muscle fibers become brittle and prone to micro tears, leading to that constant ache and stiffness that so many people accept as normal aging. But when you combine bioavailable calcium with therapeutic levels of vitamin C, something magical happens. Your muscles become both strong enough to contract powerfully and flexible enough to stretch and move without pain. The key is using calcium citrate or calcium malate, forms that your body can actually absorb, along with liposomal vitamin C that bypasses your digestive system and goes straight into your bloodstream where your muscles need it most. Now, here's what really gets me passionate about how to be a healthy elderly person, the ripple effect that proper calcium and vitamin C levels have on your entire quality of life. When your muscles have the structural support they need, you stop being afraid to move. You stop avoiding stairs, stop hesitating before getting up from chairs, stop declining invitations because you're worried about keeping up. I treated a 73-year-old gentleman named Frank from Florida who hadn't been able to play golf for 3 years due to muscle weakness and joint stiffness. Within 6 weeks of optimizing his calcium and vitamin C levels using calcium citrate and 2,000 milligrams of liposomal vitamin C daily, he was back on the golf course and even improved his handicap. That's the power of giving your muscles the building blocks they need to maintain their youthfulness in the elderly. The connection to immunity in the elderly is something that most people never consider, but it's absolutely crucial for maintaining autonomy as an elderly person. Vitamin C is your immune system's best friend, helping fight off the chronic inflammation that keeps your muscles in constant pain and preventing the infections that can quickly derail an older adult's health and independence. When you combine this with properly absorbed calcium, you're not just treating symptoms, you're rebuilding the foundation of strength and vitality from the ground up. For food sources, focus on citrus fruits, bell peppers, and broccoli for vitamin C, and include dairy products or leafy greens for calcium, but remember that therapeutic doses usually require high-quality supplements. The beautiful thing about this combination is how quickly people feel the difference. Stronger contractions, less cramping, improved flexibility, and that wonderful sense of confidence that comes from trusting your body again. These 5 vitamins, B12, magnesium, vitamin D, vitamin E, and this powerful duo of vitamin C and calcium work together like a symphony orchestra, each playing their part to restore the strength, comfort, and independence that you thought were gone forever. So here's my challenge to you, and I want you to really think about this. What's your life going to look like 6 months from now if you do absolutely nothing with what you just learned? Are you going to keep waking up in pain, keep avoiding activities you used to love, keep watching your independence slip away one painful day at a time? Or are you finally ready to take back control and give your muscles what they've been desperately begging for all these years? I've just handed you the exact same protocol that transformed Betty's life in 48 hours, that got Dorothy back to gardening, that put Robert back on the golf course, and that has helped thousands of my patients reclaim their strength and vitality. But here's the brutal truth. Knowledge without action is just expensive entertainment. You can watch this video, nod your head, feel inspired for a few minutes, and then go right back to accepting pain and weakness as your reality, or you can decide that today is the day everything changes. What's it going to be? Are you going to be one of those people who complains about their problems but never does anything to fix them? Or are you going to be the person who walks into their doctor's office in 3 months looking and feeling so much better that they ask what miracle treatment you discovered? Your muscles are waiting for an answer, and every day you delay is another day of unnecessary suffering. Here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Write down these 5 vitamins, research the specific forms I mentioned, and start giving your body what it needs to heal itself. Stop waiting for permission from doctors who profit from keeping you sick. Stop hoping that someone else is going to fix this for you. You have the power to transform your muscle health, but only if you actually use the information I've given you. And listen, if this video has opened your eyes to how much crucial health information is being kept from you, then you need to subscribe to this channel right now and hit that notification bell, because what I've shared today is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm going to keep fighting this corrupt system, keep exposing the lies you've been told about aging, and keep giving you the real solutions that can transform your health and your life. But I can only help you if you're actually here to receive this life-changing information. So subscribe now, because your future self will thank you for it.